You used 6 to 9 apps before breakfast this morning. Every single one was free. Most people assume that means someone figured out how to make money another way. That's not quite right. The right answer is that you are the way they make money, and the transaction happens before you finish reading the sentence. What free actually means. The early internet charged for things. AOL charged by the hour. Email services charged subscriptions. Content had prices. Then in the late 2000s, a different model took over. The deal went like this. We give you the service for nothing, and in return, you give us data we sell to advertisers. The model worked because most people never saw the transaction. You saw a free app. The advertiser saw a hyper-targeted profile. The app saw revenue. You saw nothing unusual. Here is what is actually happening in the seconds after you open any major free app. Before your screen finishes loading, your device has sent a package of information to an ad exchange. Your device ID, your location, your browsing history, your demographic inferences, your previous purchase behavior. In less than 100 milliseconds, that information is auctioned to thousands of advertisers bidding in real time for the right to show you the next ad you see. You didn't agree to this in any meaningful sense. You clicked agree on a terms of service document that the average person would take 76 working days to read if they stopped to read every one they encounter in a year. That research comes from a 2008 Carnegie Mellon study. The number has only grown since. Google, the most complete portrait of a human being ever built. Google's business model is advertising. Everything else, search, maps, Gmail, YouTube, Android, Chrome, is infrastructure for the advertising business. Every search you have ever made is stored, timestamped, and attached to your profile. Not just what you searched, when, how many times, what you clicked, what you didn't click, your location history, if location services have ever been enabled, records everywhere you have physically been, including places you never searched for and never told Google about. In 2018, an Associated Press investigation found that Google continued recording location data even when users had explicitly turned off location history in their settings. The relevant setting was buried in a separate menu called Web and App Activity, which remained on by default. Gmail scans the content of your emails. Google says this is for spam filtering and smart features. The practical result is that information you share in private correspondence, health concerns, financial discussions, travel plans, informs the profile Google uses to target you. Your Google profile contains inferred attributes you never explicitly provided: estimated income range, political leanings, relationship status, parenting status, health interests. None of this requires you to have typed it. It is inferred from the pattern of everything else. Meta, the file on people who don't have accounts. In 2018, during congressional testimony, Representative Ben Lujan asked Mark Zuckerberg directly, "Does Facebook collect data on people who have never signed up?" Zuckerberg confirmed it does. The mechanism: when a Facebook user uploads their phone contacts, Meta receives the name, phone number, and email address of every person in that contact list, including people who have never had an account and never agreed to anything. This is what researchers call a shadow profile. Meta builds a file on you from the data of people who do know you, and it exists whether you want it to or not. Beyond non-users, Meta tracks users across the entire web through the Meta Pixel, a small piece of code embedded on millions of websites. Every time you visit a website that carries the pixel, Meta knows you were there, what you looked at, and how long you stayed, even if you never clicked a Facebook link. After Facebook acquired WhatsApp in 2014, the platform's privacy policy changed. The original WhatsApp founders had built the product on an explicit no advertising, no data sharing principle. After the acquisition, WhatsApp began sharing phone numbers, usage data, and device information with Facebook for safety, security, and integrity purposes. In the 2021 forced policy update, data sharing was extended further. Both WhatsApp founders left the company within 4 years of the acquisition, citing disagreements over monetization and data. John Combe, who grew up in Soviet Ukraine and built WhatsApp specifically because he distrusted surveillance, sold his company to the world's largest surveillance advertising machine. That outcome took 4 years. TikTok, the clipboard, the data, and the question that doesn't have a clean answer. When Apple released the iOS 14 beta in June 2020, it included a new privacy feature, a notification that appeared whenever an app read the clipboard. TikTok users immediately saw a continuous stream of these notifications. TikTok was reading the clipboard every 1 to 3 keystrokes, meaning every time a user typed a letter in a comment box, TikTok was accessing whatever was last copied to the clipboard. Passwords copied from a password manager, bank account numbers, personal messages, private notes. TikTok's stated reason: anti-spam detection. Security researchers pointed out that detecting spam does not require reading clipboard content on every keystroke. TikTok promised to remove the feature within weeks. When first confronted by researchers in early 2020, the feature was still present when iOS 14 made it visible in June 2020. TikTok removed it after public exposure. They did not explain why it had continued after the first promise to stop. The larger and unresolved question about TikTok is structural. ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, is headquartered in Beijing. Chinese law requires domestic companies to cooperate with national intelligence agencies on request. TikTok has consistently denied that U.S. user data is accessible to the Chinese government. The U.S. government has been unconvinced. The specific risk is not that TikTok is definitely sharing data with Beijing. The risk is that the legal structure of its parent company makes that sharing possible in a way that no U.S.-based company's structure does. That distinction is either meaningful or irrelevant depending on what you think governments do with data. Your keyboard, the permission nobody thinks about. Your keyboard sees everything you type before you send it. Every message, every password, every search query, every draft you delete. The keyboard processes input before any app receives it. A third-party keyboard app granted full access can technically transmit everything you type to external servers in real time. SwiftKey, one of the most popular third-party keyboards, was acquired by Microsoft in 2016. AI.Type, a keyboard with over 40 million users, was found in 2017 to have leaked its entire user database, 577 million records, including everything users had typed. The company later went bankrupt. The data remained exposed. The default iOS and Android keyboards are not without data concerns either. Both Apple and Google receive some form of usage data from keyboard interactions. The difference is that the operating system manufacturer already has your data through a dozen other vectors. A third-party keyboard app is an additional pipeline you opened without fully considering what was on the other end. Apps you never suspected. In 2017, the Wall Street Journal reported that AccuWeather was sending precise GPS coordinates to a data monetization firm, even when users had explicitly denied location access to the app. When location permission was denied, the app used Wi-Fi router data to infer location and transmitted that instead. AccuWeather said it was unaware the data was being sold and updated the app. The data firm in question, Reveal Mobile, which built location-based audience profiles for advertisers. Flashlight apps became infamous for permission requests that had no plausible connection to their function: access to contacts, call logs, device identity, and location. The FTC took action against several flashlight app developers in 2013 for failing to disclose that the app collected and sold location data to advertising networks. A flashlight has one function. The permission some versions requested mapped the owner of the phone. Free VPNs deserve a specific mention because the irony is architectural. A VPN is marketed as privacy protection, a tool that hides your internet traffic. A free VPN must make money somehow. The documented method for many free VPN providers: logging and selling the internet traffic they were hired to protect. A 2019 investigation by VPNpro.com found that 97 of the top 150 free VPN apps on Android were owned by companies with connections to China, with ownership structures deliberately obscured. You installed something called a privacy shield. It was a data pipeline wearing a privacy shield costume. Flow Health and Y-period tracking became a legal risk. Flow Period and Ovulation Tracker had over 100 million users. It promised that health data shared with the app, period dates, pregnancy intentions, sexual activity, would be kept private. A 2019 Wall Street Journal investigation found that Flow was sharing this data with Facebook and Google Analytics divisions, categorized as app events. The moment users logged information, Flow stopped sharing with Facebook the day after the journal published its investigation. The FTC settled with Flow in 2021, requiring independent privacy audits and user consent before sharing health data. Flow did not admit wrongdoing. After the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June 2022, the stakes of this category of data changed entirely. In states where abortion is now restricted, menstrual cycle data that shows a pregnancy beginning and then stopping could be subpoenaed as evidence. A 2019 Wall Street Journal investigation already showed this data was going to Facebook. The same data profile that was used to show you baby product ads could, depending on jurisdiction, be used to demonstrate a criminal act. Flow released a new anonymous mode after Roe was overturned. Using it requires a paid subscription. What data brokers know that your family doesn't. Data brokers are companies most people have never heard of. Axiom, LexisNexis, Experian Marketing, Epsilon, Oracle Data Cloud. Their business is buying data from apps, retailers, public records, and other brokers, and assembling profiles on individual people. Axiom's own marketing materials have claimed the ability to hold up to 3,000 data points per person on approximately 700 million people globally. A typical data broker profile contains name, address history, phone numbers, email addresses, estimated income range, political affiliation, purchasing history, magazine subscriptions, social media connections, health condition inferences, estimated net worth, and predictions about future purchasing behavior. You did not create this profile. You cannot see it. You can request deletion in states with privacy laws. The broker will comply with the request, then rebuild the profile from the same data sources within weeks. Who buys these profiles? Advertisers. Yes, but also insurance companies pricing premiums based on inferred lifestyle behavior, employers running background screening, and law enforcement agencies. In 2018, it was reported that Immigration and Customs Enforcement had purchased access to a license plate tracking database, Vigilant Solutions, containing billions of location records without a warrant. The legal basis, data voluntarily shared with a commercial entity, is not protected by the Fourth Amendment's warrant requirement. You were never the party who shared it. Your location was collected by an app you installed, sold to a data broker, and purchased by a government agency. The transaction was entirely legal. The gap between what you agreed to and what you'd actually accept. Every privacy policy contains some version of the phrase, "We may share your information with third-party partners." May share means they will. Third-party partners means companies you have never heard of and cannot enumerate. For purposes of improving our services, means for advertising. The consent mechanism, the scroll and click on a document nobody reads, has been ruled adequate by most legal systems in the United States. The EU's GDPR attempted to change this by requiring specific, granular consent. The industry's response was cookie banners with a prominent Accept All button and a Manage Preferences option that requires navigating 14 submenus. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Marketing Research found that 95% of users who see cookie consent banners click Accept All without engaging with any settings. The banner that was supposed to protect you has become a mechanism for obtaining faster, easier consent than existed before the regulation. What you can actually do. These are specific documented steps, not generic advice. Google stores your complete search and location history at myactivity.google.com. You can see it, delete specific entries, and set auto-delete to 3 months. Turning off web and app activity stops most Google tracking across non-Google sites. The setting is not in the obvious privacy menu. Meta's off-platform tracking tool is called Off Facebook Activity. It shows every website and app that has sent your data to Meta through the pixel. You can disconnect this data from your account. Meta will still receive it. It just won't be attached to your identity for targeting. The setting is buried under Settings arrow, your Facebook information arrow, Off Facebook Activity. For data brokers, Delete Me and Privacy Bee are paid services that submit opt-out requests on your behalf repeatedly. The free alternative is the individual opt-out page each major broker maintains. Axiom at aboutthedata.com, LexisNexis through their opt-out form, Spokio through their removal tool. It takes hours. It needs repeating every few months. The browser extension that genuinely disrupts the programmatic ad auction is uBlock Origin. It blocks the tracking scripts that feed the auction before they load. This reduces the data available for your profile at the source, not at the display layer. It works. It costs nothing. The product was never the app. The product was the version of you these systems assembled, your health concerns, your location patterns, your relationship status, your political leanings, your financial anxieties, packaged, auctioned, and sold thousands of times a day. You made this transaction without knowing the terms. You agreed to it in a document designed not to be read, and it started the first time you clicked I agree, which, if you have a smartphone, was a very long time ago. Data collection doesn't stop at your apps. The 7 levels of how tech companies spy on you. It is on screen right now.